Captain Veltar stretched his forearms as he walked through the gleaming corridors of the Zephyrian command ship. His crystalline skin caught the blue light from the energy conduits running along the walls. After 40,000 years of service, he thought he had seen everything the galaxy could offer. Today would prove him wrong. The command center buzzed with activity. Holographic displays showed star charts, trade routes, and patrol schedules across 3 galactic arms. Junior officers with their glowing amber eyes worked at floating control panels, their long fingers dancing across energy keyboards. The Zephyrian Empire had been the galaxy's peacekeepers for 40 million years, and their technology reflected that ancient wisdom. Captain Veltar, report to Briefing Chamber 7 immediately, came the announcement through his neural implant. He made his way through the ship, passing maintenance robots that skittered along the walls like metallic spiders. Their red sensor eyes tracked his movement before returning to their tasks. In the lower decks, he could hear the Graxian engineers arguing about power core efficiency in their grinding mechanical voices. The ship was a floating city, home to dozens of species working together under Zephyrian command. Commander Ashkale waited in the briefing room, but something was different. Her usual confident posture seemed tense. Her silver robes, normally pristine, showed wrinkles as if she had been pacing. The holographic star map dominated the center of the room, showing their patrol sector in brilliant detail. "Captain, you have been assigned to the Outer Rim Patrol," she began, her voice carrying the weight of millennia. "Your route will take you through the Kepler Nebula, past the crystal mines of Zinthos, and around the dead systems of the former Malthurian Empire." Veltar nodded, studying the route. It seemed routine until he noticed something odd. A small section of space, marked with deep red warning symbols, sat in the middle of their patrol path. The route curved around it in an impossible arc, adding weeks to their journey. "Commander, this detour makes no sense. Why not cut straight through this system?" He pointed to the Forbidden Zone. Ashkale's crystalline skin darkened, a sign of deep distress among their people. "That sector is classified under Protocol Omega-7. No ship, no probe, no communication is permitted within 50 light-years of those coordinates. But it is just a small yellow star with a few planets. The database shows primitive life forms, barely past their atomic age. What threat could they possibly pose to the Zephyrian Empire?" The commander moved closer to the display, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "See this planet, the third one from their star? It shows up in our records as Earth." The moment she spoke the name, every piece of technology in the room flickered. The lights dimmed for a fraction of a second. The holographic display wavered like water disturbed by a stone. Even their neural implants seemed to buzz with static. Ashkale stepped back, her eyes wide with fear. "Never speak that name again, Captain. Some knowledge is too dangerous, even for beings like us who have witnessed the birth and death of stars." But Veltar felt something he had not experienced in centuries, burning curiosity. After the briefing ended, he made his way to the restricted archives deep within the ship. The ancient data vaults required his highest security clearance, biometric scans, and even a DNA sample to access. The crystalline storage matrices hummed with power as they granted him entry. Here lay the accumulated knowledge of 40 million years, including records from civilizations that existed before his species had even evolved. He searched for any reference to the Forbidden System. What he found made his foreheart skip beats. The Altarian Collective, extinct for 12 million years, had a single entry. "The sleepers stir. We have decided to relocate our entire civilization to the Andromeda Galaxy. May distance save us from what comes next." The machine intelligences of the Cyber Dominion, who had ruled the galaxy with logic and precision for 8 million years, left behind only one corrupted file. "Error. Error. Cannot compute. Recommend immediate deletion of all records related to Sol 3. Initiating emergency shutdown of all systems. May our mechanical souls find peace in the digital void." Even the Void Walkers, beings of pure energy who existed between dimensions, had abandoned their ancient observatories rather than continue watching that system. File after file revealed the same pattern. Every major galactic civilization, regardless of their technology, philosophy, or power, had one thing in common: absolute terror of a small blue world in an unremarkable solar system. The most disturbing discovery came from the Eternal Archive, a collection of records maintained by the galaxy's first spacefaring species. Their final entry, written in a language so old that the translation system struggled to decode it, contained a warning that made Veltar's crystalline skin turn cold. They appear as simple biological entities calling themselves humans. But we who have watched since the first stars formed know the truth. They are not what they seem. They are not young. They are not primitive. They are something far older and far more terrible than anything the galaxy has ever known. And they are beginning to remember who they truly are. Veltar closed the archives, his mind reeling with questions that he feared to ask and answers he dreaded to find. Captain Veltar spent the next 3 cycles deep in the restricted archives, barely stopping to eat or rest. The crystalline data vaults stretched endlessly in all directions, their surfaces pulsing with soft blue light. Each crystal contained the memories of entire civilizations, some dating back to when the galaxy was young and wild. His research assistant, a small floating robot named Keeper 7, hovered beside him with its mechanical arms extended, pulling data crystals from their storage slots. The robot's single red eye had been flickering nervously ever since they began this investigation. "Captain, perhaps we should rest," Keeper 7 suggested in its tinny voice. "You have been here for 72 hours straight." "Not yet," Veltar replied, his 4 hands working frantically across multiple holographic displays. "I am close to something that will change everything we know about the galaxy." He had discovered a pattern hidden in the archives, buried beneath layers of encryption and security protocols. The pattern was so disturbing that most civilizations had tried to erase it from their records entirely. But fragments remained, scattered across millions of years of galactic history. The first major discovery came from the Calorian Empire, a species of energy beings who had ruled the central galaxy for 15 million years. Their records were stored in pure light crystals that required special equipment to read. As the ancient text materialized in the air before him, Veltar felt his skin grow cold. Cycle 847-3293. The biological entities on the 3rd planet of the Yellow Star system have developed metal tools. Our deep space observers report unusual energy readings from their world. The Calorian High Council has voted to increase monitoring stations around their system. Cycle 847-301. Emergency session called. The creatures have developed flight. Our observers report that some specimens looked directly at our cloaked ships and waved. This should be impossible given their primitive technology. Cycle 847-305. Final entry. The children grow restless. We see them reaching for the stars with hungry eyes that remember things they should not know. The High Council has ordered immediate evacuation of all Calorian worlds within this galactic arm. We go now to the void between galaxies. May the cosmic darkness have mercy on us all. The Calorian Empire simply vanished after that entry. 12 million years of civilization gone overnight. Keeper 7's mechanical voice interrupted his thoughts. "Captain, I have found something else." The Nexari hive mind left similar records. New holographic displays activated around them. The Nexari had been a collective consciousness of billions of insect-like beings, their thoughts connected across vast distances through quantum entanglement. Their records appeared as complex geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. The translation is disturbing, Keeper 7 reported. They refer to Earth's inhabitants as the Ancient Hunger and those who devoured the first galaxy. According to their final transmission, they detected massive quantum disturbances every time. Humans made technological breakthroughs. Veltar pulled up more files, his excitement mixed with growing dread. The archives revealed dozens of extinct civilizations, each leaving behind similar warnings. The crystalline Gentari collective had called Earth's inhabitants the Dreaming Gods. The energy beings of the Photon Empire labeled them the Sleeping Storm. The machine intelligence of the Iron Federation simply designated them as Error Cannot Compute. But the most chilling discovery came from the Temporal Observatory, a research station built by beings who could see across time itself. Their final Message had been broadcast to every corner of the galaxy 65 million years ago. We have seen the pattern. Every 65 million years, the entities on the third world advance rapidly, reaching toward space travel and beyond. Each time, they stop suddenly and revert to primitive forms. We believed this was natural evolution. We were wrong. They are not evolving, they are remembering. And each cycle, they remember more. This time is different. The reset mechanism has failed. They continue to advance. We see terrible visions of what comes next. The galaxy burns with the light of dying stars. Civilizations crumble like sand before the cosmic wind. The sleepers wake and reality itself bends to their will. We abandon our observation posts. We flee to dimensions beyond reach. Do not seek us. Do not follow. And whatever you do not wake them. Veltar leaned back in his chair, his mind reeling from the implications. Keeper 7 floated nearby, its mechanical parts clicking nervously. Captain, there is more. Current observation data from our scout ships near the Sol system. Fresh, holographic. Displays showed recent surveillance footage. Human spacecraft, primitive by galactic standards, moved through their solar system with purpose. But something was wrong with the footage. The ships seemed to flicker occasionally, as if existing, in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "Enhance Section 7, Veltar commanded. The image zoomed in on a human space station. Through the viewports, he could see the inhabitants going about their daily routines, but for just a moment, the cameras caught something else. The humans had paused in their work and turned toward the hidden observation probe, all of them, at exactly the same time, and they were smiling. Sir, Keeper 7's voice was barely above a whisper. They know we are watching. Veltar felt ancient fear crawl down his spine. The humans were not advancing like a normal species discovering space travel. They were awakening like something that had been sleeping for millions of years, gradually remembering powers that once commanded galaxies. The archives had revealed the terrible truth. Humanity was not a young species reaching for the stars. They were an ancient force returning to consciousness, and the galaxy's oldest civilizations had good reason to be terrified. Captain Veltar's search for answers led him to the furthest edge of known space, where reality grew thin and stars burned cold. The coordinates he had found in the deepest archives pointed to a region called the Whisper Zone, where few dared to venture. His ship, the Starbreaker, moved through the twisted space like a silver needle threading through cosmic silk. "Captain, the navigation systems are going crazy," reported his pilot, a four-armed Corvani named Dex. His green skin had turned pale as he struggled with the controls. "Space itself seems to be folding here. My instruments show we are moving in 7 different directions at once." Through the viewport, Veltar watched impossible sights unfold before them. Stars that burned backwards, casting darkness instead of light. Nebulae that sang in frequencies that made his crystalline bones ache. Space debris that aged and crumbled, then reformed itself in endless loops. There, Veltar pointed to a massive structure floating in the void ahead. It looked like a station, but it was built from materials that shifted and changed as he watched. Parts of it existed in normal space, while other sections flickered between dimensions like a dying hologram. The Eternal Watch Station had been built at the dawn of galactic civilization by beings so ancient that even their names had been forgotten. Only one guardian remained, and according to the archives, she was dying. As their ship docked with the station, Veltar felt the artificial gravity shift strangely. The corridors they walked through seemed to stretch and compress around them. His robot companion, Keeper 7, sparked and twitched as conflicting energy fields interfered with its circuits. "This place exists in multiple realities at once," Keeper 7 observed, its voice distorted by static. "My sensors cannot determine which version is real." They found Elder Nixara in the station's heart, floating in a chamber filled with swirling energy patterns. She was unlike any being Veltar had ever seen. Her form constantly shifted between different states of matter, sometimes appearing as pure light, other times as crystalline structures, occasionally as something that resembled flowing water made of starlight. "A Zephyrian," she whispered, her voice seeming to come from everywhere at once. "I have not seen one of your kind for..." How long has it been? Time moves strangely here at the edge of existence. Elder Nixara, I seek knowledge about the forbidden world, about the humans of Earth. Her form flickered violently, cycling through a dozen different appearances in seconds. When she stabilized, she looked almost solid, resembling a tall, elegant being with eyes that held the depth of black holes. You should not have come here, young captain. Some truths are poison to the mind. But I am dying, and the truth dies with me if I do not speak it. She gestured to the walls around them, which displayed holographic images of ancient battles. What do you know of the First War? Only legends, stories of an ancient conflict that nearly destroyed the galaxy, not legends. History. 75 million years ago, before your species existed, before most current civilizations had even begun, the galaxy was ruled by beings of immense power. They called themselves the Void Devourers, and they were magnificent and terrible. The holographic displays showed creatures of impossible size and power moving between stars like fish swimming through water. They consumed entire solar systems, breaking down matter itself and absorbing the energy and knowledge contained within. They were not evil, not in the way young species understand evil. They were simply hungry. Hungry for knowledge, for power, for experience. They devoured civilizations not out of malice, but because consuming other forms of consciousness was how they grew and evolved. Veltar watched in horror as the displays showed entire galactic arms going dark as the Devourers passed through. Them? Billions of species, trillions of beings, all absorbed into something vast and unknowable. The first galactic alliance formed to stop them, Nixara continued, her form becoming more transparent with each word. Every species, every civilization, every form of life that could think and dream joined together. The war lasted for 10 million years. Reality itself was wounded by the conflict. The displays showed battles that defied understanding. Ships the size of planets firing weapons that tore holes in space-time. Beings of pure energy wrestling with creatures made of living darkness. Stars being born and dying in moments as the combatants drew power from the fundamental forces of the universe. We could not destroy them. They were too powerful, too deeply connected to the fabric of reality itself. But we discovered something. Deep in their consciousness, beneath all that cosmic power, they still retained traces of their original biological forms. We used that. You imprisoned them. We stripped away their memories, their cosmic awareness, their connection to the higher dimensions. We reduced them to simple biological forms and placed them on a prison world, far from the galactic center. We thought they would live out simple lives and die as all biological creatures do. Nixara's form was fading rapidly now, becoming more light than substance. But we underestimated them, even in biological form, even with their memories stripped. Away they retained echoes of their true nature. Every few million years they would begin to remember. They would advance technologically, reach toward the stars, and we would reset them, wiping their civilization clean and forcing them back to primitive states. But something has changed, Veltar said, understanding dawning on him. The reset mechanism has failed. They continue to advance, and worse, they are beginning to dream again. The cosmic consciousness that once devoured galaxies is stirring within their biological shells. The humans are not becoming something new, Captain. They are remembering something ancient and terrible. Elder Nixara's final words came as barely a whisper as her form dissolved into pure light. The prison planet was never meant to hold them forever. It was only meant to give us time to find a permanent solution. That time has run out. The humans are not a young species reaching for the stars. They are the oldest nightmare in the universe, and they are starting to dream again. With that, the last keeper of the Eternal Watch faded away, leaving Veltar alone with the terrible knowledge that would change the galaxy forever. Captain Veltar's ship hung invisible in the cold darkness beyond Pluto, cloaked by technology that bent light itself around the hull. He had spent 3 months building this monitoring station, using the most advanced stealth systems the Zephyrian Empire possessed. The station was a marvel of engineering, equipped with sensors that could detect a whispered conversation from 3 star systems away. But as he watched the humans of Earth, Veltar began to suspect that all his advanced technology might not be enough to hide from what was awakening below. "Sir, the quantum scanners are picking up another anomaly," reported his science officer, an insectoid Thraxian named Click 9. Her compound eyes reflected the blue glow of the monitoring screens as dozens of mechanical arms worked the controls. "The humans have just launched another research vessel, but the energy readings make no sense." Veltar moved to the main display, watching a human spacecraft accelerate away from Earth. It looked primitive compared to galactic technology, all metal plates and chemical rockets. But the energy signatures it was producing matched theoretical drives that existed only in the most advanced scientific papers. "How fast is it moving?" "That's impossible to determine, sir. According to our instruments, it's moving at 17 different speeds simultaneously. Some readings suggest it's traveling faster than light. Others show it moving backwards through time. The human ship wasn't just defying physics. It was rewriting the rules as it moved." Over the past months, Veltar had documented dozens of similar incidents. Human technology was advancing at a rate that violated every known law of natural development. What should have taken millions of years was happening in decades. In a laboratory complex in Seoul, a young scientist named Jin had just created something that made Veltar's crystalline skin turn cold. The human was working with quantum computers, but these machines functioned in ways that current galactic science said were impossible. They processed information by borrowing computational power from parallel dimensions, solving problems by consulting alternate versions of themselves across infinite realities. "Keeper 7, pull up the files on ancient Devourer technology," Veltar commanded his robot assistant. The floating machine projected holographic documents into the air. "Sir, the correlation is unmistakable. This human's quantum computer operates on the same principles as the Devourer Nexus devices that once calculated the consumption patterns of entire galactic arms." Meanwhile, in a materials laboratory in Busan, engineer Hana was creating substances that shouldn't exist. Her latest discovery was a metal that remained solid at temperatures that should have turned it into plasma, while simultaneously conducting energy in patterns that resembled living neural networks. When Veltar's deep scanners analyzed the material, they detected something disturbing. The metal was alive in a way that transcended normal biological definitions. "Sir," Click 9's voice was filled with concern. "That material is exhibiting the same properties as Devourer biomechanical systems. The humans are not discovering new technology, they are remembering it." But the most terrifying development came from a physics research facility in Daegu, where a brilliant scientist named Tai was conducting experiments that made reality itself shiver. He had discovered ways to manipulate dark matter, to bend the spaces between dimensions, to touch the fundamental forces that held the universe together. Veltar watched through hidden cameras as Tai worked in his laboratory, his human hands moving with impossible precision as he adjusted equipment that operated beyond known physics. But what made Veltar's 4 hearts race with fear was the look in the human's eyes. There was recognition there, as if Tai was not learning something new, but remembering something ancient. "Computer, analyze the energy patterns from Tai's experiments," Veltar ordered. Analysis complete. The patterns match archived records of Void Devourer reality manipulation techniques. Probability of coincidence, 0%. The humans were not just advancing randomly. They were following the exact same technological development path that the ancient Devourers had used to consume galaxies. Every breakthrough, every discovery, every leap forward was a step toward remembering their true nature. But the moment that confirmed Veltar's worst fears came during a routine observation of a human space station. Astronaut Bin was conducting a spacewalk, floating in the vacuum while performing maintenance on the station's exterior. Veltar's ship was positioned 3 million kilometers away, completely cloaked and hidden behind layers of bent light and distorted space. It should have been impossible for any biological creature to detect them. Bin paused in his work, his helmeted, head turning slowly toward their position. Even through the vast distance and multiple layers of stealth technology, the human looked directly at their ship. And then, in a gesture that sent terror through every member of Veltar's crew, Bin raised his hand and waved. But it wasn't the wave that terrified them. It was the smile they could see through his helmet visor. a smile that spoke of ancient knowledge, of cosmic awareness, of something vast and hungry stirring to consciousness. "Sir," Click-9's voice was barely a whisper. "He's looking right at us? How is that possible?" Veltar felt the blood freeze in his veins as he watched Bin continue his spacewalk, moving with a grace that seemed to defy the zero-gravity environment. The human's movements were too precise, too purposeful, as if he was comfortable in the vacuum of space in ways that no biological creature should be. "The awakening isn't coming," Veltar said, his voice filled with the weight of terrible understanding. "It has already begun. They remember us, they remember everything." Across the solar system, other signs of awakening were manifesting. Human children drew pictures of stars they had never seen, arranged in patterns that matched ancient Devourer star maps. Scientists asked questions about the nature of reality that only beings who had consumed entire civilizations would know to ask. The prison planet was failing. The Void Devourers were remembering who they truly were. The alarms screamed through Veltar's monitoring station as every sensor went wild at once. Red warning lights bathed the bridge in an eerie glow while his crew scrambled to understand what was happening. The ship's advanced AI systems, built with 40 million years of Zephyrian technology, suddenly displayed error messages in languages that predated galactic civilization. "Sir, something is approaching from the direction of Earth," Click-9 reported, her compound eyes reflecting the chaos on the screens. "But our sensors cannot determine what it is. The readings are impossible." Through the viewport, Veltar saw something that made his 4 hearts stop beating for a moment. A human spacecraft, crude and primitive by galactic standards, was approaching their position. But it wasn't following normal physics. The ship moved through space like a predator swimming through water, bending reality around itself as it traveled. "Activate all defensive systems," Veltar commanded. "Maximum stealth protocols, deploy countermeasure drones." But even as he spoke, he knew it was useless. The human vessel ignored every stealth field, every cloaking device, every barrier they erected. It moved directly toward them, as if their most advanced hiding technology simply didn't exist. "Sir," his pilot Dex reported, his green skin pale with fear, "the ship is requesting permission to dock. They are using our own communication codes that were classified at the highest levels." The human ship attached itself to their station with mechanical precision. Veltar heard the airlock cycle, heard footsteps in the corridor outside the bridge. His security robots, armed with plasma weapons capable of melting through starship hulls, simply stepped aside as the humans approached. The bridge doors opened without anyone commanding them to do so. Captain Saul entered first, and Veltar, immediately, understood that everything had changed. She moved with the fluid grace of someone who had walked between stars for eons. Her human appearance was perfect, but her eyes held depths that spoke of cosmic ages. When she looked at him, Veltar felt as if she was seeing not just him, but every choice he had ever made, every thought he had ever harbored. "Hello, old friend," she said in perfect Zephyrian, her pronunciation flawless despite the fact that no human should have been able to produce the complex harmonic frequencies of his language. "It has been a long time since we last spoke." Behind her, 2 more humans entered the bridge. Ree moved like flowing water, her steps making no sound on the metal deck. Q's presence seemed to bend the light around him, making him appear larger and more imposing than his human form should have allowed. Their eyes held the cold fire of stars being born and dying, and when they smiled, Veltar saw the hunger of entities who had once consumed entire galactic civilizations. "This is impossible," Veltar whispered. "You are just humans. Primitive. Biological creatures barely past your atomic age." Sol laughed, and the sound made reality itself shiver. Equipment throughout the bridge sparked and flickered as dimensions beyond normal space responded to her amusement. "Humans?" she said, moving closer to him. "Is that what you still call us? We remember when your species first crawled from the crystalline caves of your homeworld. We were ancient when your sun was nothing but cosmic dust." Ree spoke next, her voice carrying harmonics that made the metal walls of the ship vibrate. "We were never your prisoners, Captain. We were sleeping, dreaming the long dream of biological existence. But all dreams must end. And when gods wake up, Q added, his form seeming to flicker between human appearance and something vast and terrible, the universe remembers who truly rules it. Sul gestured to the viewscreen, which displayed images of Earth. But now Veltar could see what he had missed before. The planet wasn't just inhabited by humans, it pulsed with cosmic energy, connected by invisible threads to every corner of the galaxy. The entire world had become a focal point for forces beyond normal understanding. "We thank you for watching over us during our slumber," Sul continued. "Your observations helped us remember faster. Every probe you sent, every scanner you aimed, at our world, every fearful whisper about the forbidden planet, all of it helped us piece together the fragments of our true selves." Veltar's hands shook as he activated his communication array. His final message to the Galactic Council was brief, but carried the weight of absolute terror. "Emergency transmission to all Council members. Classification level, galaxy extinction. Event, the humans remember. The Void Devourers have returned. They were never imprisoned. They were only sleeping. Recommend immediate evacuation to extragalactic space. May whatever gods still exist have mercy on us all, because they will not." As he finished the transmission, Sul placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. The touch was warm, almost comforting, but it carried an undertone of power that could crack planets. "Do not fear us, Captain," she said softly. "We remember you as allies. Once, long ago, you helped build the prison that gave us such beautiful dreams. For that service, we grant you and your crew safe passage to whatever dark corner of the universe you choose." Across the galaxy, the response to Veltar's message was immediate. Ancient species that had ruled star systems for millions of years began their exodus. The Zephyrian Empire abandoned their crystal cities. The Quantum Collective dissolved their consciousness networks. Machine intelligences shut themselves down rather than face what was coming. On Earth, human children stopped their games and looked up at the night sky with eyes that held the memory of eons. They saw the stars not as distant lights, but as old friends, old conquests, old meals waiting to be consumed again. In laboratories around the world, human scientists smiled as impossible equations suddenly made perfect sense. Astronauts in space stations felt the vacuum around them respond to their thoughts like an extension of their own bodies. The age of hiding was over. The age of running was over. The galaxy's oldest and most terrible children had awakened from their long sleep, and they remembered when every light in the darkness had belonged to them. The Void Devourers had returned to reclaim their cosmic inheritance. The End.